Welcome, welcome. Zoom is in the process of letting everybody in from the waiting room, so we'll get started in just a moment. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Erin Lurie, and I'm the head of adult audiences at Hillwood Estate Museum and Gardens. We are thrilled to be gathering with friends near and far today for this virtual celebration of Earth Day. Just a couple of quick notes about the platform. We are going to use the chat as our place to submit questions and spark discussion. Please feel free to send notes as they cross your mind, and we will make sure we get to those at appropriate points throughout the program. And at the end, there will be a time for questions and answers as well. You're welcome to leave your camera off or to turn it on. We love to see your smiling faces, but also have no qualms about seeing the little black boxes instead of those smiling faces. Those of you who are in the DC area, I really strongly encourage you to come and see Hillwood. It is absolutely stunning. We do currently require timed reservations. Masks are required indoors and out, regardless of vaccination status. And the cold snap today, while a little windy and dreary, does help prolong all of those spring blooms. So it is a great time to get out and enjoy the gardens. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Jessica Bonilla, who is Hillwood's Director of Horticulture. Jessica joined Hillwood in 2009, and in 2014, she became our head gardener. In July 2020, she was promoted again to become the Director of Horticulture, and she leads the staff responsible for garden upkeep, greenhouse production, orchid care, and floral arrangements. With over 20 years of experience, Jessica has worked in commercial landscaping, private estate gardening, and has owned her own landscape business. She has a bachelor's degree in landscape contracting from Penn State. Please join me in welcoming Jessica.
Hello, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. I know the title, Every Day is Earth Day, sounds a little cliche, but I really feel that this needs to be our mentality if we are going to do the best we can for our environment. You know, Earth Day itself is a great day to celebrate all our accomplishments of the previous 364 and see where we're going to go next. So today I'm going to share some exciting news about a new garden we are creating here at Hillwood. Then I have some videos from several of our staff discussing different topics, including ecological gardening in our cutting garden, Hillwood's worm composting program, and the reduction of our campus carbon footprint. Along the way, I'll share somehow you can incorporate some of these techniques at your own home or place of business, and we will both leave the planet a little better for it. For those who may be new to Hillwood, we sit on 25 acres. About half of that is the buildings and gardens of Marjorie Merriweather Post that we are charged to caretake. The other half is a steeply sloped woodland. So new construction really has to be creative. So it was decided to build a new space for our library, collection, storage, and facilities shop that would all be beneath our current lower parking deck. So this is what that construction kind of looked like. You get a sense of that from then the outside. So during the construction phase, we realized that there was a great opportunity to create a really special garden around this new space. We knew that the site had been engineered to have a bioretention pond and to capture stormwater. So this is a wonderful feature from a sustainability standpoint because it provides a place where stormwater can be collected and given time to slowly seep back into the soil instead of funneling it directly into our rivers and streams. So we thought, why not build on this and make a whole garden that would be an example of how biodiversity and sustainability could be incorporated in a DC landscape. So then we could then use the space to and share what we learned with our visitors and the greater public. So, and really gardening sustainably is something my staff and I are very passionate about. So just for a minute, I'm going to dive a little deeper into those two terms, biodiversity and sustainability. Biodiversity is having a variety of life in a particular habitat. And why is that important? It's because every creature, every plant has a role to play in their environment. In a larger view, they are vital parts of life support systems on which humans depend. In terms of this garden, the biodiversity aspect would be comprised of a wide variety of natives or nativars, including those from our own regional area. It would maximize habitat creation and replace the tree canopy. Sustainability meant to us that once it was established, the garden would not need irrigation or traditional mulch. It would only require inputs at the beginning and then be able to take care of itself long-term with minimal human intervention. So after the planning was done, we realized that the garden needed to be installed in 3 different phases. The first phase would center on the bioretention pond. So here's a closer look at that. Like I mentioned, it captures storm water off this new construction area. On the right, you can see the photos of its installation, and you can see it has layers of geotextile, gravel, and engineered soil, all meant to help with water percolation. Another important part of a bioretention pond is the plants. So here are some of those that we incorporated. You can see there's a hibiscus and Amsonia, iris, Physostesia, Tradescantia, and there are a bunch not pictured as well. These were all at the bottom of the pond. All these can take wet soils. With more of the shrubs, the inkberry and the winterberry holly, the red osier dogwood, clethra, kind of moving up towards the banks, also with our black tupelo tree. So, and then, a mix in with those shrubs is the Asclepias, and then also, the liatris and the phlox as well. And in all gardens, it's important to try to pick the right plants for the right place. Not all plants will flourish at the bottom of a retention pond. So when you're deciding on plants in your own garden, you should really look at what you need the plant to do and what type of environment it will live in. There's lots of resources online with lists of plants for different conditions, like for wet soils or dry sunny slopes or dry shade for that matter. All those can help you pick the right plant for your situation. So here's a photo of the pond after planting in December. This small area contains 659 plants. It's 18 different species, 100% of them US natives, 72% native to the mid-Atlantic. And when I talk about the mid-Atlantic, I'm specifically talking about Maryland or Virginia. So it certainly ticked the box for a wide variety of plants. And using natives helps create habitat because wildlife know these plants. They have evolved with them. Native plants are also accustomed to the soil where they originate, which often means that they need less attention. This space is also, with the number of plants, you can see it's planted pretty thickly. So that helps to maintain moisture when it's dry and reduce weeding as well. So really, it's like a supersized version of a rain garden that you might see in communities along the road. Rain gardens can work too if you have an area of your yard that has bad drainage. It's interesting because Adrian Higgins just had an article yesterday about rain gardens and what to do with bad drainage. I mean, it could be easy as just planting the right plants in the right spot again. And if you are interested in learning more or in making your own rain garden, I would suggest you could check out the Natural Resource Conservation Service. It has a really nice pamphlet, even though it's from 2005. It's kind of easy to understand and gives you some native plant suggestions. Or like Adrian Higgins says, you know, you can just plant plants for the right site, but you just got to remember, if you're planting it as a wet site and you go through a dry spell, you just got to walk. But it's all good. So one last sustainable feature of this phase is the path. It's made out of porous pave, which is a brand name of paving material made out of recycled rubber. It's hard and durable, but its structure is permeable enough to allow over 5,000 gallons of water per hour to pass through per square foot. So it greatly reduces surface runoff. So we're really excited about this product. It's the first time we're using anything like this at Hillwood, so we're going to monitor it and then hopefully use it in other areas throughout the grounds. You know, paths like these and the retaining pond are all ways, you know, we can do our part to reduce Rock Creek flooding. So this year, we'll be installing phase 2. Here's an overview of the plant material. You know, close to 4,000 plants, includes 66 different species. Again, 100% US native and 92% native to the Mid-Atlantic. And our goal is to have it all finished by the end of September. Phase 3 is still several years away, and that will occur as the garden transitions from full sun like it is today to a shady woodland setting. So there's more to come on all of this, and I hope you can come by and see its progress. So just as a little recap, you know, use lots of different plants to increase biodiversity. You know, native plants are great to create habitat and reduce your garden's needs. Gardens are more successful when you're using the right plant in the right situation. And then collectively, we can reduce flooding through, you know, rain gardens and kind of porous paving type materials. So next we're going to hear from Drew Asbury. Drew wears many hats, and one of those is managing our cutting garden. He's a master of getting a sequence of blooms at Hillwood, and he's going to share what he's been doing to protect our pollinators and other creatures out in the cutting garden.
Hi everyone, and happy Earth Day. My name is Drew Asbury, and I am the horticulturalist and volunteer manager here at Hillwood. And today I'm here to share with you a few of the sustainable techniques that we have implemented in the garden behind me, which is Hillwood's cutting garden, to create a more happy and earth-friendly garden. So the goal for this garden has always been to provide fresh cut flowers for our florists to come out and harvest and to turn into lovely flower arrangements, which would then go into our visitor center and our museum. But yet a lovely and amazing secondary effect of having a field full of flowers is just simply the vast array of insects, and bees, and butterflies and birds that this garden attracts. And over the past 5 years, Hillwood has made a deeper commitment to providing a healthier place and a happier place for all of those beneficial insects to live and prosper. So one of the very first things we did in the garden behind me is we eliminated the use of traditional insecticides and fungicides, not only here in Hillwood's cutting garden, but also in our formal rose garden and throughout our greenhouse complex. And for me, it was quite amazing. The results were almost instantaneous. And what we noticed was a huge uptake in all the beneficial insects and all those other insects, such as ladybugs that spend their whole lives preying upon the insect pests, like aphids and thrips, which were quite common in this garden. Well, now we've created a happier, healthier habitat for those insects to survive and help combat our pest problems. And so while at the same time, besides eliminating pesticides in the garden, we also plant the garden a bit different these days. We've actually incorporated a lot of new plant material, many of which are native plants. But the idea was just to simply plant the garden very thick with layers and layers of plants, with bulbs, perennials, annuals, and a few shrubs. And the idea here was to create a really thick garden, which would even more so increase that biodiversity and habitat potential for all the good insects out there. Also, we've changed how we put the plants together. We no longer plant in monocultural blocks in the garden. So where we used to have an entire row of zinnias and an entire row of sunflowers, well, now all the plants are intermingled together, making it even more diverse and structurally diverse. Again, making it harder for the bad insects to find the crop that they want to eat, but yet makes it easier for all the good insects to call the garden home. And then lastly, we've also changed how we maintain the plants over the course of the season. We really have decreased the amount that we deadhead, which is removing the spent flowers. So now, particularly in all of our native plants, we allow all of those flowers to stay and then to turn into seed pods. And then, you know, the seed pods are where the seeds are developed, which is what ultimately makes the birds very happy in this garden. And so I do believe, you know, over the course of several years, what we have found is I believe we have a much prettier garden now. We have a garden that's much healthier for our visitors and our staff and our volunteers, as well as a garden that's just much richer with ecological potential for all the good insects, all the little creatures that Mother Nature has created. So with that, thank you. And I certainly invite you to come out and visit Hillwood's Cutting Garden on your next visit. And please enjoy all the flowers and butterflies that comes along with it. Again, happy Earth Day.
Yeah, so that was our wonderful Drew. And again, you know, how to support ecological life and have a beautiful garden. You know, you can think about, you know, your reduction of pesticides. It's a great way to take care of your pollinators and wildlife. Again, you know, planting a lot of different plants thickly makes a better home for the good insects in your garden and makes it harder for bad insects to find specific plants. And then less deadheading, you know, provide seeds for birds and other wildlife throughout the year. So next is Matthew Boyle to talk about our worm composting program.
Hi, happy Earth Day. I'm Matt Boyle with the horticulture department here at Hillwood. And I'll be talking today a little bit about our food waste composting program. Here at Hillwood, we're in a kind of convenient food waste composting situation in that we have a horticulture department and a cafe restaurant underneath, all in the same campus, part of the same kind of organization. And both to gain a powerful soil amendment and resource for integrated pest management, as well as divert as much waste as we can. A few years ago, we started a vermicomposting system where we take food scraps from the cafe and feed it to worms. I first take the food scraps. It can be, you know, kale stalks, little bits of cucumber, apple, anything that the cafe has used already and set aside that wasn't like really fit for human consumption, and I mix it with paper or these leaves, some leaves, mix it in a blender and feed it to our worms. We have about 4,000 currently. They work 24/7 to produce this nice black humusy compost. We then take that compost and we can incorporate it into our soil mixes, our media. We can plant it with seedlings, or what we've mostly been using it for is to make compost tea. We then use that compost tea to feed our plants a little nutrients and really boost the microbial ecology of the surrounding soil. We'll also spray that compost tea on the leaves, called foliarly, to prevent powdery mildew on the zinnias and dahlias and lilacs, and even some of the seedlings in the greenhouse, which we've had really great success, especially for something that we're just recycling here on campus. Now, right now, as I said, we have about 4,000 worms working all the time. But ideally, in the future, we'll really move up and be able to use all of the food waste produced, hopefully on the whole campus, and feed it to our worms, or maybe incorporate it into our regular compost piles or thermophilic compost piles, and really keep more and more of that waste right here on campus, and use it to continue to build up our soils and maintain and progress through our organic integrated pest management system. This is something that people are doing at home, this vermicomposting. And you can, if you ever are here on campus, feel free to stop me or email me with any questions to how you could get your composting and vermicomposting system started in your house. I'll be happy to answer any questions and assist you. Have a really good, happy Earth Day. Get out there and do something. Thanks so much.
So as you heard, using kitchen waste for vermicomposting could have great gardening benefits. It can be used as a soil infusion, as a spray to fight powdery mildew, or combined with potting soil or soil mixes. And then, of course, the big factor is to reduce what we're sending to the landfill. So, okay, we're gonna go here directly to Brian Greenfield, where he will share some great strides Hillwood has taken to reduce our carbon footprint.
Hi, my name is Brian Greenfield, Senior Head of Engineering and Sustainability for Hillwood Estate Museum and Gardens. Happy Earth Day and welcome to Hillwood. Since 2017, we have reduced our annual electrical use by 24% and have cut our natural gas in half. In just 4 years, we've cut our carbon footprint by more than 1.6 million pounds per year. In 2020, we transitioned from coal-generated electrical power to 100% sustainable sources. I am happy to announce that starting in September of this year, all natural gas use will incorporate carbon offsets, which will support regional energy savings initiatives, reforestation efforts, and carbon sequestration research. Big things are coming. We are expecting a 20% expansion of our LED lighting program in 2021, which will reduce our electrical use even further.
So Brian attributes our savings to replacing aged equipment with high efficiency systems, using programmable technology like thermostats to let temperatures creep up or down when spaces are not in use, and then of course using LED lighting. Transitioning to renewable electric sources and purchasing carbon offsets can be as easy as contacting your utility provider. So that really wraps it up for me today, and I am happy to take any questions that you might have. I know Erin's gonna come back on and help me with that. In a second.
I sure am. Thank you so much, Jessica, and thanks to Drew, Matt, and Brian for sharing some of their areas of expertise as well. I am trying to read. We've got a few questions in the chat, but lots of time to keep answering, so please don't be shy. I am just trying to catch back up.
Yeah.
All right, so first off, Jessica, we've had some questions about how visitors will be able to enjoy the new Natives Garden as it starts to come into being.
Yes. So for right now, I mean, you're welcome to walk down. There's the elevator is a little bit work in progress yet, but soon that'll be functioning. And there's a stair tower you can go down, and then you'll be able to go right into the gardens. So that's how we'd really like you to be able to experience it, is right down in the gardens. But there was another wonderful feature you might have seen. I we go through it fast, but when I showed the photos of the outside of the building, you could see the stair tower on the right side, but there's actually a lookout up there. So you don't even have to go out all the way down. You can just come out to the top of that lookout and just look down and see what's going on. And that's a great way, you can just be sneaky and just sneak on over and see what's going on.
Stella asked which flowers in the cutting garden are the most attractive to pollinators. And I'm going to take a moment before I let you answer that to say, we are running a workshop. Jessica is leading a program to create a little pollinator-friendly container garden for your homes. That I will drop the link in the chat, but that is something that will happen in late May. So save the date for that and look for the link. Jessica, what are we seeing in the cutting garden as our best pollinators?
Absolutely. We see a lot of bees and different insects on things like salvia. We plant a lot of Verbena bonariensis, and they sit on that a lot. I tell you, we have just chives out here that just get full of pollinators. Chives are really great for pollinators. We have that part in our herb garden. Also, bee balm is also great. Yeah, it's just really, there's always a lot of stuff going on.
Kathy asked where the path that leaves the lower rain garden towards the soapstone hill is, and where does that path lead?
The path that goes down. So tell me that question one more time.
There's a little path that looks like it leaves the new native garden heading towards Soapstone Hill. Where does that path lead?
Okay, well, some of the path itself just goes down to our parking lot, but then actually if you go down farther, there's almost like a driveway going down, and that is what we know as the incinerator building. So I don't know if a long time ago, I don't know why it's named that. I have no idea. But it's a little building now that we just used for storage down there. But, and this is talking way down the line, I always think it'd be wonderful to have a whole woodland walk. We have just some wonderful woodlands, and, maybe sometime in the future, you see people with, other gardens with, a boardwalk going through. Wouldn't that be, I think that would be wonderful. But that's still,
I would love that. I certainly, one of the things I miss about working from home most days is that I don't get to go walk the perimeter as I used to at lunchtime. The parking lots are less scenic than you'd imagine, but they are still actually quite beautiful because it is surrounded by all of your hard work and the just the path down to Rock Creek, and it's lovely. And Ellen agrees. She says that the woodland walk idea is great and that she loves the short path that is there right now. And that's another new space that we've kind of made the most of in the last couple of years with the woodland trail there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, I guess that's the most recent extra garden we've put in there, and yeah, that's turned out, we're very pleased. Marshall Paquin takes care of that area, and he does a great job in there. And yeah, and right now it's really beautiful. There's a lot of bloom. The pachyra, there's also the celandine poppy. There's a lot blooming in there if you come by.
I will have to put that on my list for the next time I am there, and I do hope that everyone who joined us today is able to come and get to Hillwood soon. As I said, as we started off, we are open Tuesday through Sunday, 10 to 5. We do require advanced reservations, masks, social distancing, all of the good safety precautions you would hope to see are in place and enforced. So we hope that you will come and enjoy the amazing gardens, the beautiful weather, and the home of fabulous. Our Garrett just asked about how is parking. We do have free on-site parking available. And the last time I was in on campus, it looked like nary trouble finding a spot. Lots of availability. And that goes hand in hand with the fact that timed tickets are helping us manage that safe capacity and that parking. I think that brings us to the end of our time together. Jessica, I'd like to thank you very much for walking us through these amazing efforts. I'd like to thank everybody on Hillwood's HEAT team, which is the Hillwood Environmental Action Team. Did I get that right? Okay.
Absolutely, you got it.
Newly renamed HEAT, for all of their good work. And I hope that our visitors and folks who were able to join us today will come and see the fruits of your labors on site and continue looking for some ways that they can take those lessons home to their houses. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.